Hello and welcome back to another video in quite some time. I hope y'all are doing well, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. If you've already heard me say that, I'm sorry, but hey, nothing wrong with saying it twice. I've got another video I'm working on. I'm not sure if that's going to be coming out first, or if this one that I'm recording now is coming out first, so just be glad that you're getting 2 videos within like a week from me, whenever there's been nothing for quite some time. Especially considering they're both very interesting. But this one here, I'm going to be messing around with this Panasonic Toughbook. This guy is a pretty recent one. It is a CF-54, and this thing is actually mine. I was given this, and this thing is worth quite a bit of money still, which is crazy. But yeah, I am now the proud owner of a Panasonic CF-54 Toughbook, which is really cool. So I'm going to flip this guy back around, and we're going to be upgrading this thing today. It's not super spec'd out yet, but it's got some serious potential. So you can see that it's a little bit dirty, to say the least, but it appears to be in physically good condition. So let's just put the screen back. I've charged the battery up a little bit. It was completely dead whenever it got to me, but we'll just go into the setup, and as you can see, the battery does work, which is great. So let's just enter in the setup so I can show you what we're working with. So we have got a 500 gig hard disk, and we've got 4 gigs of RAM, and we got an Intel Core i5-6300U, which is not a bad chip. I think it's a dual core, and with 4 threads. Maybe I'll get surprised and it'll be a quad core. That'd be really cool. I had an i5-7200U in my Lenovo yoga laptop that died on me really early, and I was very disappointed with. And this is 1 generation older, but it's 1 up in the range better, so it should be pretty decent. We've only got 4 gigs of RAM. That's something that needs to be changed. It also says it's DDR3, which is interesting because this chip should use DDR4. It's a 6th gen Intel chip. It's the first one to use it. But I've got a 8 gig stick of DDR4 here, also out of that Lenovo I was talking about. But I've got a different Lenovo that's also broken here that should have a 8 gig stick of DDR3 in it. So either way, we're covered. We're also going to be installing an SSD in this thing, which is going to come from this. It'll be a 120 gig M.2. This thing has a space for an M.2 SSD inside of it, as well as a normal sort of hard drive thing. I say normal, the hard drive in this thing is very interesting. This thing's only got 320 hours on it, so it hasn't been used an awful lot at all. It's pretty cool that it shows that there. And it's got different temperature settings for the battery, which is very interesting. You can have it set to high temperature, normal temperature, or auto. So I guess if you're using this thing where it's super duper hot, then it'll work. So we've got concealed mode configuration. Oh, I see. Anyway, so this concealed mode, I guess that's what this little button here, it's got a picture of little sort of spyglasses here. I wonder if that's what that does. If I hit function and this, does it do it? Yes, it does. So it turns the backlight down to minimum. It doesn't. So you got some options here. So it'll turn off the LEDs, it'll turn off sound, the wireless radio will stay on. Cool. Interesting features here. We got external monitor, battery charge, lid switch, fan diagnostics. Interesting. Why does it go up to the top? That's annoying. USB charge setting, so always on charging, quick charging. We'll turn quick charging on. I guess this is for the USB ports on the sides. It's got 3 of them, by the way, which is cool. Optional kit configuration. Enter password. Don't tell me this thing has a password on it. It says here, though, access level is supervisor, so we go into security. User password, hard drive lock, no protection. Embedded security, what's in here? Supervisor password is required to enter the submenu. So I guess we gotta set up a supervisor password. It doesn't say it has one, but we'll just reboot without saving changes. So it has an install of Windows 7 on it, which is interesting. It's got a password on it though. I'm not going to worry about trying to crack the password for it or anything because we're just going to install Windows 10 on here. On a separate drive though, so it really doesn't matter. There are some things I need to change. I need to change it to UEFI mode because I don't want it to be in the basic mode. So you can see this is as far as we need to go. Yeah, okay, so it's got Windows 7 on it. It does boot. Not really much else to say. I think that what we're going to do is turn it off though and close it up. And we're going to start working on it. Alright, new battery is in the camera now. This thing's actually pretty easy to get inside of. It's got this panel that gives you access to basically everything. The screws don't stay in, which is a little bit annoying. That'd be a nice touch, but oh well. Alright, so got the bottom off, and unfortunately it does use DDR3. So it's time to get this one open. So this computer here is interesting to say the least. I 3D printed a little mount to make it into a desktop because the hinge is totally broken here, and the touch doesn't work either because there's cracks in the screen. But it does function, but you know what? It'd be better off donating its insides to this. So I've actually got command strips holding the screen back so that you can get inside, and I can just push here to make the hinge kind of work. But there we go, just some Velcro kind of command strips. And then we can get the bottom off and get inside. That is a problem. I didn't realize the memory is soldered to the board in this thing. So I guess we're stuck with 4 gigs for the time being. That's unfortunate. Why is this thing on? I don't want this thing on while I'm messing around with metal stuff. Oh, we can still steal the drive, which is right there. Memory, unfortunately not. That's a bit of a shame. I don't think I have any other laptops around with DDR3. Just my mom's, but I can't steal the memory out of there, unfortunately. So here's our SSD. And I'm just gonna possibly need this screw. Yeah, I'm gonna need that screw. Doesn't have a screw for it. So that is going to go right here. And I'm going to have to get a hold of some more memory, because I really want this thing to be daily driver type material, but 4 gigs of RAM is not going to cut it. And it needs an SSD. That's one thing we can solve. And I'm going to keep the 500 gig drive in here just because I'll kind of show you why. It's kind of in a weird sandwich thing, and it'd just be good to have 500 gigs extra storage, especially with only a 128 gig SSD in here for now. So this thing should just go back down like that. Wi-Fi, we may mess around with, because this Wi-Fi card does not look exactly incredible, to say the least. Is it really taped down? No, I just have tape over top. It doesn't look too stellar in there. So, don't know what's going to happen there. I think that for now, though, I'm going to show you the hard drive module. I took it apart a little bit earlier, but this is where the hard drive is. It's inside of here. There's like a whole like heater thing in here. So I guess in extreme temperatures it can heat the drive or cool it maybe. Very interesting. Man, I wish this thing had DDR4, because I could just slot that in there and bring this thing up to 12 gigs. But unfortunately not. Here's my RAM bag. Oh. Most of this is DDR2. In fact, all of it's DDR2. But this is a 1 gig stick of DDR3 memory, so technically speaking, we can upgrade the RAM in this thing, bring it up to a whole 5 gigs. There, memory upgraded. What an upgrade. Yeah, well, I think I'm probably going to end up ordering some memory for this thing. I don't know if I'm going to go for 16 or not. Depends on how expensive it is, as everything does. But at the very least, this thing's going to get 8 gigs of RAM. It needs the RAM. So we'll just put that cover on. And this drive has Windows 10 on it already, so I should just be able to change some settings around in the BIOS and get into Windows 10, and we can mess around with it a little bit. Now this thing says Pro Windows, and that drive has Windows 10 Home on it. So I don't know if there'll be a way to just upgrade Windows from the digital license or not, but either way, this thing has a license for Windows 10 Pro, so I'm definitely going to want to use that instead of Home. But, you know, it's cool. It's got a license for Pro. I just wish it took DDR4 memory. But, oh well. Beggars can't be choosers. The thing is free. Maybe I will be a beggar, though, because I'm missing a screw. Yeah, I lost a screw. I never can get through anything without losing a screw. Oh, I found it. Okay, we didn't lose a screw. No, I lost the other screw now. Oh, there it is. Okay, didn't lose any of the screws. I have all the screws. I think that while this is apart, though, or not apart, but while this is closed up, I want to show you the ports, because I haven't done that yet. So they're all behind flaps to sort of help with ruggedness, but we got a USB 3, HDMI, our power jack, which is not covered, 2 USB 3s, Ethernet. That's the one with dust under it. It's probably because they used this side. And then we've got an SD card reader, switch for the wireless, and a headphone jack. That's where the battery goes. And then on this side we've got, no, that's the battery. The hard drive is over there. And then this thing can have like an extra battery or probably an optical drive. In mine there's just this little blanking thing. But it could probably be swapped out for a second battery. I know it can because there's battery 1 and 2 here. But I'm going to power this thing back on. And get into the BIOS. Maybe. Okay, there it goes. So it did not detect our extra memory. That's fun. And let's go to, there we go, 500 plus 128 gigs, so it's got both the drives. Go over to boot, and we'll change UEFI boot to enabled. Boot mode normal or compatible. Go normal. Let's save values and reboot and see if it boots into Windows 10 off that drive. Checking media presence. No idea what it's doing. Oh, well, now it's booted. Hopefully it doesn't do that every time, because that would be kind of annoying. Really should have cleaned this thing before I got it on camera, but you know, I didn't want to. I wanted to make sure everything worked first. It does appear to be working fine. The battery even appears to be working. It's got this gigantic power brick with a huge cord. I mean, seriously, look at that. That's a big power brick. Okay, so it rebooted. So it came up quite a bit quicker that time. Still not as quick as I'd like for the spinny thing to start spinning, but you can see it booted very quick. That's quite nice. So what? Oh, caps lock is on. Oh my goodness. I hate, let me just mention the one thing about the keyboard that is irritating me. Any keyboard that has a home key next to the backspace key like that, I always hit the home key because I have the tendency to hit the edge of the backspace key, which means I always hit like that with my finger whenever I'm going like that, and very annoying. That's the first big design flaw with this computer I've noticed. Let me try this again. Oh, caps lock's on. See, I hit home again. I can't remember what the password for this install is. Okay, we're in. Needs to be clean. Okay, so here's Windows 10. The battery, 6 hours and 56 minutes? I was not expecting that with that little dinky battery it's got in it. Let's check out the resolution of the screen. I can tell the graphics drivers aren't installed. And there's no 2-finger scrolling. 1366 by 768. I saw somewhere that this thing was supposed to have a 1080p screen. That must be an optional extra. So 1366 by 768, but it's by no means a bad screen. It's not the greatest screen in the world by far. Far from it. But it's not a terrible screen. We don't have an internet connection. We probably need to get online so we can get some drivers. So alright, so we're online now. Let's just do a quick speed test real quick and see how the Wi-Fi in this thing is. And yeah, that Wi-Fi card is getting replaced. Yeah, that Wi-Fi card is getting replaced. This should be way quicker than that. This should be like over 200. So the Wi-Fi card has to go. I had a gut feeling just by looking at it. But it does seem to be working, which is cool. Let's go into activation and see what this is looking like. So let's not change product key. Let's hit troubleshoot and see if it will automatically detect the digital license. Maybe it'll give me the option to upgrade to Windows 10 Pro. That would be cool. Let's go into we've activated this copy of Windows. Is it going to let me upgrade to Pro? Because this thing has a digital license for Windows 10 Pro, so it should just do it for free, I would think. I have a Windows 10 Pro product key. I don't have a product key, I have a digital license. So we're going to have to reinstall Windows 10 on here. Now the battery says 2 hours and 38 minutes. That's more in line with what I was expecting. There's no two-finger scroll yet, which is definitely a problem. Let's go into Device Manager and see what we have going on here. All sorts of stuff, which is kind of what I was expecting, considering this thing has all sorts of stuff in it. Go to Display Adapters. We've got Microsoft Basic Display Adapter, so it's not even telling me what's in here. It'd be cool if this thing had dedicated graphics, but there's no way it does. No way. I think that I'm gonna. There's one thing on here that I want to copy off to the server. I don't think this install has like anything on it whatsoever. So I think that what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a fresh install of Windows 10 Pro on this drive, and well, I'm not going to film that process. It's a Windows install. That's boring. I have not got Windows installed in here yet, but I just wanted to show you how well this thing cleaned up. It looks almost brand new. I mean, if you just look at everything. Just have a look at the screen. It all looks great. The outside, I don't think there's a scratch on the outside of this thing. It looks like almost brand new. This thing looks in absolutely fantastic condition. If my stupid camera will focus on something. There we go. I mean, it just looks good. Nothing else to say, it just looks really good. So, no question, I'm going to buy another 4 gig stick of memory. I might get 2 8 gig sticks of memory. Like I said, depends on how much it costs. I'll probably get it used, because you can probably get used DDR3 really cheap on eBay. And, yeah, don't really have much else to say about it. Except I'm just going to get Windows 10 Pro installed on here and maybe get the Adobe suite and stuff installed on here just to see how well it works out and all that sort of stuff. So I did a little bit of digging before I wiped the 500 gig drives inside of here, which hasn't even been wiped yet. And I got into the Windows 7 password protected account. Very, very, very easy to do. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I just wanted to do this because I wanted to see what all this machine was used for. And well, what a surprise. It came from a plant. It was used for work controlling machinery. Now there's this GT Designer 3 on here. Couldn't find any files to open with it. I'm sure there are some. I just didn't go looking around too much because I don't love looking through files on people's computers. But I did some Googling of what it is, and it's just a virtual screen software for designing different sorts of machinery. So let's just start the simulator. Project. Open a project. I don't know, whatever. And then this GX Works here is actually for controlling a CNC. I did find a project of that, and well, yeah. Don't know anything about this software, but this is all the sort of stuff it was used for, I guess. And the other thing that I was interested in is the age of this machine. Now, if we go and take a look at properties here, you can see it's running Windows 7 Professional 32-bit edition, and it's going to make a lot of sense. Why? Because this software is dated 09 and this software is dated 07, and there are new versions of the software. What typically is these computers used for controlling machinery, the machinery is going to be old, and the driver is going to be 32-bit only, probably designed for Windows XP. The Windows XP 32-bit drivers usually install perfectly fine on a 32-bit version of Windows 7, and then you can run them in a much more secure environment. Even though when I boot this thing up, it says your Windows 7 PC is out of support, but oh well. We've got our genuine Windows. It's the Panasonic original install, it appears, and I got curious as to when this was, and this was only on January 30th of 2018, so this machine was only in service for about 2 years. And it's in really good condition considering where it's been used, but then again, I guess these things are designed for being used there. I also did a little bit of research, and it turns out this is the base model 2017 edition PowerBook, the Toughbook. I'm used to messing with my PowerBook, excuse me. But this is the baseline Toughbook from 2017. This what is referred to as the light model. All the other models have backlit keyboards. This one does not. Most of the models have 1080p IPS screens that are quite a lot nicer than this. This one just has a 1366 by 768 TN panel, which, while not incredible, is far from the worst screen I have seen in my life. It's actually not half bad. It's pretty bright. It's matte. I really like the matte finish. You don't see any reflections off of it, which I use a Retina MacBook Pro as my daily driver laptop, the 2015 one, and let me just tell you, that thing is reflective, and their anti-reflective coating does nothing but peel. But yeah, there we go. That's when this was installed. 11:32:41 a.m. So this thing's been in service for about 2 years. And yeah, these are all 2017 downloads, 2018. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. NPP, what is NPP? Oh, Notepad++. So it's got Notepad++ installed. eBuddy, whatever that is. The E1 companion tool. Alright, so eBuddy, whatever that is. Let's just look at the programs on here. So eBuddy, let's see what that is. E1 maintenance utility. Okay, no clue what that is. Melsoft e-manual, okay. That's some sort of remote desktop software. I hadn't heard of it, but I looked it up. Panasonic, what do we got in here? Yeah, I don't know. Some Panasonic software. Dashboard for Panasonic PC. Let's see what this is. This might be a little interesting. So we got battery, volume, microphone, resolution, concealed mode. We can change settings for concealed mode. Change the brightness. Ignition mode. What's this? When power on, the computer is turned on by connecting the AC adapter. When power off on AC, when the AC adapter is disconnected, the computer switches to set power status. Okay, this is cool. So basically, if this is being used in a police car, which most of these are, really a ton of them are, especially this kind of model, it's relatively thin, it's light, it's inexpensive. That's another thing. Let's get on to pricing. I looked up how much the CF-54 is, or 55 I mean, which is only one model newer than this, but it's the same laptop pretty much, just with upgraded processors. They started over $2,000, so this machine would have probably been over $2,000, and for the base model like this machine would have been over $2,000, and this machine here still goes for like $800 on eBay. The base model. The base model with no upgrades whatsoever, I've seen go for like $600-700 on average. One like mine here with an SSD in it, and I'll put some more memory in it, could go for $700-800. Yeah, that's crazy. USB charging. Yeah. And then my page, it looks like something you can put on here, so yeah. There we go. What's this up here? Yeah, alright, so dashboard for Panasonic PC. Cool. Where I'll have to try and install that software on Windows 10. But yeah, I think that at this point I'm just going to shut the thing down. We're going to force shut down. And say goodbye to this Windows installation. I'm going to format the drive in here because it probably has company data on it that doesn't need to be getting out into the wild. I'll have to be extra careful whenever I'm editing this video to make sure I didn't expose anything, but I don't think I did. Everything seemed to be pretty, in place. There doesn't really seem to be any sort of crazy company financial details or anything like that on here. It's not like this computer belonged to the accountant. It belonged to the CNC operator. Okay, so the video is plenty long enough already. In the timeline right now, it's at like 30 minutes. I still need to cut it down, but yeah, this is definitely a long one. So we're going to wrap it up we've upgraded it a little bit, we've done a little tour of the machine, so now we're going to do some sort of general usability type things. So I'm going to hook this guy into Ethernet because we're going to be accessing files off of the server because I want to do some tests with the Adobe suite on this guy. Now, it's got a pretty decent little CPU going in there, but the main issue is its lack of RAM. As I said, this thing only has 4 gigs, and for whatever reason that extra 1 gig stick I put in there, it's not liking it. So I might troubleshoot that, but I don't think a gig's going to make or break us. Okay, so now that the camera is about the best it's going to get, excuse the moire pattern on the screen, I think that we can... Sorry about the lawnmowers going, and just the bad audio on this video in general, because the audio on this video has been absolute garbage. I need to figure that out. But anyway, we are going to open up Premiere, and it's probably going to ask me to swap my license over because I deactivated it on my computer to activate it on here. So I'm going to turn Wi-Fi is off. Alright. So as you can see, you have reached your activation limit. So I can just sign out of my MacBook Pro and activate this device instead. And to my knowledge, you can do that a limited number of times. So pretty much if you have an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, don't quote me on this, but from what I've found, you can pretty much swap around devices all the time. It's just that you can't use it on more than 2 devices simultaneously. And my understanding of the reason they do this is because they don't want people abusing personal licenses as corporate licenses where you've got multiple devices going at once. But like, let's say you're me and I've got a MacBook, a desktop, and a Surface that I like to draw with inside of Photoshop with. You can swap those devices around. I don't have the Surface, but that is what I'm thinking about doing with this, and we'll get on to that later. I might sell it and buy a Surface. But we're just going to open up a project from the server, and you will immediately see one of the big problems with this, and that as far as using this guy as an editing machine, and that is that screen resolution. It's gonna get you. There is just no room for everything. This is a 14-inch display. It should have plenty of room for everything. I edit on a 13-inch MacBook Pro on the go, Retina MacBook Pro. Even though that screen's an inch smaller than this, never have an issue. It's just, yeah, I never am running out of room on that display. But this thing, yeah, look at that. You can't look at the bin there. Look at how tiny the thing is. Look at how you can't even see all the, and this is a very simple edit. So on here, yeah, this is probably managed. I also want to open up the task manager just so that we can keep an eye on things. So we go over to performance. We'll just shove that there and keep an eye on our memory and CPU usage. So this is a 4K timeline, but pretty much all of the clips in here are 1080p. But if we play it, sometime, I hope y'all are doing well, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. Alright, let me just scroll later on. Why is it only showing a little bit? Come on, just uno momento. Now we have got our full timeline. Okay. So, yeah, the thing, you can see as soon as this big project's in, the memory is just stalled. Got a bit of headroom there, but the 4 gigs of memory is just absolute killer. So let's see how playback is. Which is only 1 model newer than this, but it's the same laptop pretty much, just with upgraded processors. They started over $2,000. So this machine would have probably been over $2,000. And for the base model, like this machine would have been over $2,000. It's definitely dropping frames. And this machine here still goes for $800 on eBay. The base model. The base model with no upgrades whatsoever, I've seen go for like $600-700 on average. One like mine here with an SSD in it, and I'll put some more memory in it, could go for $700-800. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, this thing is definitely not what I would consider a mobile editing workstation. But with that being said, it can probably handle some basic 1080p editing. In fact, I know it can because I messed around with another project on here. Let me try and get to a section with more movement that's just the video playing. Yeah, here we go. You can watch me fail. Let me just mention the one thing about the keyboard that is irritating me. Any keyboard that has a home key next to the backspace key like that, I always hit the home key because I have the tendency to hit that. It's struggling just a little bit. Now, with that being said, let me get this out of the way. Oh, what's it doing? If I open a recent project and I was just doing Premiere test, this is the 1080p timeline. These are 2 1080p clips. And both of them are playing perfectly fine, and the CPU is sitting around 85%. So for 1080p editing, this thing will be fine. For 4K, not so much. Now we're gonna do a little bit of Cinebench and see how well that works out. Okay, here we are to run. We're gonna run Cinebench R20 on both of these, and now you really see what I mean about the screens as far as usability. Yes, my MacBook Air, not my MacBook Air, my MacBook Pro is a fair bit smaller. Let me try and get it a bit more even up here so that you can sort of see the difference. This screen is just as tall, but that screen's a little bit wider. It's just this is a much less chunky computer, so. But anyway, I've got a stopwatch here so we can see how long of a time difference there is between these two machines when they run. And yeah, we're just gonna click run and we'll see what the scores are and the times are. Okay, for whatever reason, the first time the MacBook didn't start doing tests. I think it's because I hit some sort of a key and it made this thing go away. I noticed thinking back on it. So we're gonna try and run these one more time. 3, 2, 1, go. One thing that you will clearly be able to notice here is the screens. Just look at the difference. Look at the color. Okay, that's what this is supposed to look like. That's what that looks like. So you can't do any color correction whatsoever on this computer. So it's designed for. But this is a very color accurate display. That's clearly not. But more importantly, look at how big that is. Okay, and it won't even fit on this screen. No, this is not cut off on the camera. That is the bezel of the screen right there. That's the X. That's the little notification windows thing. It just straight up is not showing the whole thing. It doesn't have enough room on the screen. That's a problemo. I can't let my MacBook win too about Toughbook. No, no, no. No! No, you've gotta be kidding me. Ooh. I know I might be a bit of a sore loser, but I think I'm going to run this one more time. I want to give the computer just a second to cool down, because this iPad was blocking the vents. I know I'm just sounding like a whiny baby right now, but this iPad was blocking the vent if you saw me move it forward. Yeah, it was blocking the vent. And it was really slow, and then I moved it forward and it sped up again. I think that this thing was not able to cool itself properly because the vent was blocked. So I think it was thermal throttling. I'm gonna give these systems a second to cool down, and then I'm gonna run it again off camera and see what we get. One thing I feel like I need to mention is the cooling systems on these things, and I think that has a large part as to why this guy is winning the Cinebench tests. It's ahead again. I hate to admit it, but it's ahead again. Anyway, just listen to this. Alright. Now come over here and listen. That is definitely one department where I think this thing is beating out the MacBook. I think I'm going to end up having to do some temperature readings between the two of these things because, yeah, I know that I don't have a stereo mic, but trust me, this is way louder than this is. And oh my goodness, we're about to go through yet another camera battery. Ugh. It's almost done. Well, I can't run away from the truth. This thing actually scored higher than this one by even more this time. So, the Panasonic Toughbook is faster, in at least raw CPU power is faster than my MacBook Pro. So I've now going to run Cinebench on both of these things for a third time because I've got the Intel Power Gadget up on both of these so we can take a look at temperatures and speeds and all that sort of stuff so we can see if it's the cooling is crippled in the MacBook and just see how good or bad the cooling in each of these machines are. I missed the run button, whatever. So we can see that my MacBook Pro has instantly went up to 3.3 gigahertz. The package has already hit 103 degrees Celsius. This guy is running at 2.9. The package is at 59.68. The fan has not ramped up on here yet. Still running at 104. Clock speed's now down to 2.9. Meanwhile, over here, the clock speed has been constant at 2.9, which is its maximum turbo frequency, which is the base frequency of this thing, which is what it's running at right now. Fan still hasn't kicked up. Package is at 102. I can hear the fan ramping up on the MacBook Air now. Or the MacBook Pro. This is the MacBook Air. Yeah, interesting. I think that's all we need to see for now. So what I want to do now is I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop it over here as well. I'm going to repeat. I'm not going to call this the final result because it's not fair, but I want to repeat this test, which, by the way, the temperature on this thing got up to 90. The temperature on here got up to 90, but the fan never really spun up, and it never thermal throttled. It stayed steady at 2.9, its highest turbo. But what it is that I want to do now on here is I want to open up fan control, and I'm going to set the fan up to maximum from the beginning, and I want to run Cinebench on both of these and see what the scores are going to be like. No, I don't want OneNote. And see what the scores are like whenever this thing is being cooled. Because Apple just doesn't like to ramp the fans up. They just don't do it. Don't know why, but they just don't like turning fans on. They're intrusive to the experience, is what old Tim Cook or Craig Figger Reedy or whatever is in charge of the quietness of these machines. So now the package is down to 46 and dropping. And on here it's on 45. So we're just going to hit run on both of these. And I'm just going to let them run. We'll time-lapse this and we'll see what it ends up being. Okay, so what we've learned today is that Apple, if they were to ramp up their fan curves a little bit, then the computer would be so much better. We got 731 that time. Last time, what did we get? We got 717 last time. This guy got 729 this time. We got 739 before. So I think that what we're going to say is that these things are basically identical in performance as is. This, if anything, is a little bit slower. But the thing is that this was running the chip below 90 degrees the entire time at its maximum boost clock of 2.9 gigahertz. Okay, so this chip was running as fast as it possibly could the entire time, and I didn't have to babysit it to do that. This, on the other hand, after bringing the fan all the way up, was still running about 300 megahertz below its maximum clock speed. So this thing still has more performance that it could have if it would cool itself. Even with the fan running at maximum speed, though, it can't do that. So the chip in this thing technically is faster than the chip in here. However, because of the crippled cooling in here and the way overbuilt cooling in here, actually I wouldn't even call it overbuilt, it hit 90 degrees quite often. So between the adequate cooling in here and the underbuilt cooling in here, this thing, even though it's actually a slower chip, is the same speed as this. But if this had a better cooler, it would beat this every time by a pretty good margin. Okay, so what have we learned during this video? That Apple's coolers are absolute crap. That's what we have learned in this video today. Okay, well, it took us, probably like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes to figure that one out, but oh man, we still need to do graphics tests. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do that. I don't know if I got time to fit that into this video. So, yeah. This is enough right now. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this video about me ranting on about this power. This is a PowerBook. That is not. I hope I've enjoyed. I hope you've enjoyed this video of me messing around with this Panasonic Toughbook. Just, if you love these rambly sort of tech videos, give us a like, subscribe, Also, just if you don't like these sorts of videos, I do more sort of polished videos as well. But this is just the sort of turn on the camera, rant forever, get on the computer, and then edit it into something that people can vaguely watch. But we've got a couple other videos coming up, like for example on this PowerBook that I keep going on about. We're going to be installing, actually I've already installed onto here, Adobe CS4. We're also going to install CS3 on here, and it's going to be a fun video, so if you love your PowerPC Max, strap in, this will be a good one. I've already started filming this one before I even had this in my possession, but I decided I'm going to mess around with this thing because it's new and different and just a lot of fun to play around with. But yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. Like I said, subscribe for more, and well, thanks for watching. Goodbye.